Hello, a very good afternoon to those of you watching. Now, welcome to the We Are Careers show. We are going to be tackling a question today, which I think is going to be of interest to any careers professionals that might be watching, whether you are in the UK or abroad. We're going to be talking about how careers professionals can advocate more effectively on behalf of young people. And we've got two fantastic guests here to help us with that topic, who we will come on to very shortly. But if you're joining us for the first time, a very warm welcome. This is the We Are Careers show. This is your fortnightly snippet of careers-related CPD for any careers professionals based either here in the UK or across the world. I'm Chris Webb. I'm a higher education careers professional and registered career development professional with the CDI. And I'm joined, as always, by my fantastic co-host, Meet Sabiha. So, Sabiha, very warm welcome. It's a bit of a grey Wednesday here, certainly where I am anyway. Where are you in the world today and how are things?
Oh, I'm currently in the northwest at the moment and the sun is streaming through right now. So if anybody is watching from the northwest, give us a shout in the chat. You know how this goes, our regular viewers. Join into the conversation, use that chat box feature on whatever platform that you are watching us, whether that's LinkedIn, YouTube, or even in the Facebook community as well. We always love hearing from you. And as Chris mentioned, we've got a great topic for you and two fantastic guests who I've never had the pleasure to meet, but of the course of sort of kind of preparing for this show, I've got to learn about their stories. And I'm so excited that Chris and I are going to be able to bring their stories and their journeys about the work that they are doing. And as Chris mentioned, we're going to be exploring today, yes, you, the career professional that's watching us right now, whether you're a member of the CDI or not, how can you advocate more effectively on behalf of young people? Whether that's because you work with young people right now in the day-to-day job that you do, or perhaps maybe this is more about you happen to be a parent, or you happen to be an aunt or an uncle or a grandparent or a grandmother, and you've got family members or members in your community or the choir group or the sports club that you're a member of, and you're noticing that young people are not being served by careers professionals and the wider community, and what can that look like? So please join in. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, please do hit that subscribe button. And as always, hit the like button. If you're enjoying the content and the speakers that we are bringing, it always helps us by your support by hitting those likes and that subscribe button. And joining the conversation, as I said today, we've got two amazing guests. Now, before we come on to our two fab guests, for those of you that are regular viewers, but if you're new for the first time and you're watching the show, welcome, welcome, welcome. We always love fresh faces. We do this part of the show where we call it the Careers Cheers, and each show we like to celebrate our career professionals or those people who are advocating and who are supporting the sector in the fantastic work that they are doing. Now, I know Chris has got some really fab Careers Cheers lined up for us today. So Chris, who are we celebrating and what are we celebrating this week?
Yes, thanks, Sabiha. So, I mean, it probably will be no surprise to anybody. We had the UK Career Development Awards 2023 last Monday. So there is a bit of a theme here in our Careers Cheers for this week. The first one, obviously, is just to say to all of the nominees and winners from this year's UK Career Development Awards, we'd love to give you all the shout out and run through the full list, but there were so many. So again, if you were nominated or if you won the award this year, congratulations, fantastic kind of achievement. The full kind of list of award winners isn't up on the CDI website yet, but it will be. So I've left the general link that's there for the shortlist, and you should see some stuff coming through on social media as well. So again, I've seen a lot of the people that did win posting online. So massive congratulations if you're a winner, and even to be nominated is a massive achievement. So that was our first one. Our second Careers Cheers is to our recipients of the CDI Fellowship. So again, there were quite a significant number that either of legacy fellows or new CDI fellows that were selected this year. But we wanted to give a very special shout out, particularly to our CDI Facebook community of practice legends, Dave Caudle and Liz Rees. Without them, it'd be very, very difficult, to manage things like the Facebook community of practice. That they really kind of launched and have built that community. So huge congratulations to them. And our final Careers Cheers is a very, very special one for Dr. Lynn Barham, who was awarded the Rodney Cox Lifetime Achievement Award. So Liz, who nominated her, did say she has quite literally given her life's work to developing, delivering and researching CEIAG. So a huge congratulations, Lynn. Very, very well deserved. And those are our Careers Cheers for the week.
Oh, fantastic. And honestly, some great names, and definitely look out. These will be your colleagues, or maybe these are names that you're hearing from the first time. Look them up, because obviously their content and breadth of experience, there will be something in there as a career professional that you can learn from, whether it's the work that they are doing or their own personal journeys as career professionals. And I just want to bring in some comments that we're getting through. I've got Teresa here from Glasgow. And I love this comment. She's saying, missed you all year because I had careers class every Wednesday between 11:35 and 12:35, which was obviously when we go live. So glad to be back. Oh, welcome, Teresa. It's good to have you. We've got Gina here. Good afternoon, everybody. So happy to catch you live. We've got Natalie here. Good afternoon from sunny-ish Norwich. So that's good to know. And Teresa's joining us and celebrating with us. So let's not wait any further. Let's jump into today's theme, which is all about how can we as career professionals advocate for the clients that we serve. And in particular, the focus today is when sort of kind of niching down today and we're looking at young people. So I want to bring in Izzy. Izzy, thank you for joining us on the show today. And for those people who haven't yet heard about you and haven't yet followed your story, what should people know?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. This is an incredible opportunity. I'm Izzy Garbutt, so I'm 17 at the minute, and I'm currently a member of Youth Parliament. So briefly explaining that, if you don't know what it is that there's basically a junior parliament for young people. It's organised by an organisation called the British Youth Council. And every couple of years in each kind of local constituency, there are elections where young people can put themselves forward, and they have a manifesto which they film a video about, and it goes out to local schools and colleges, and then young people vote for them based on what they think is a priority for them personally or in their area. So I put myself forward in 2021, I think it was, and my campaign was all about education. And we'll talk about this later, but something called a curriculum for life, and very much is interconnected with careers advice and things like that. And I won my local election, so have been serving as a member of Youth Parliament ever since. And it's been incredible. I've loved it because I've had the opportunity to work with both young people and also like local decision makers. I've had meetings with MPs. I've been able to do things like this, which is still crazy to me. So thank you so much for having me. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Oh, thank you, Izzy. And I think just even in that little snippet of introduction of who you are and what's brought you here to this point, I think already I can see in the chats that people are sort of going, oh, interesting, and want to learn. And speaking of interesting, I've just got someone here, Facebook user, saying, wonderful to see you, Izzy and Laddie. And Laddie, I want to come over to you now. This woman does not stop smiling. She always has. And it's so infectious because every time I look at her, I kind of find myself brimming from ear to ear. So Laddie, for those of you, apart from the fact that you have a winning smile, what else should our viewers know about you, and what is the work that you are currently doing and have done? Oh, Laddie, you're on mute. There we go.
Excellent. Sorry, forgive me. Technology has never always been my strong point. But first, can I just say thank you to you, Chris and Sabiha, for having Izzy and I here. Thank you so much for enabling us and really enabling. I really want to hear Izzy's voice on this matter because Izzy just captivated me. Her video captivated me. Anyone that knows me knows I'm probably very quite good on LinkedIn. I use LinkedIn a lot. So please, if you aren't following me, please do connect with me on there. But LinkedIn's a place that I think as professionals we all feel safe. But I have two teenage daughters and a son, and they always tell me TikTok is where you need to meet us at, Mum. So I often go to TikTok from time to time and look up the word careers, employability, mental health, that kind of thing. And I came across Izzy's video and I'm like, oh my goodness, you just blew my mind away. Izzy, from the bottom of my heart, just thank you, because your video helped to re-emphasize and give my professional life a lot of meaning. The way you spoke so passionately and authentically about the importance of us as the adults around you, preparing you for life beyond school, was just captivating. And it helped me to realize that, yes, I love the job that I do. I always tell people I have the best job in the world because I help to make dreams come true. A student tells me I want to work in a bank. I get to help arrange a visit to a bank. A student tells me I want to be an engineer. I get to help arrange for an engineer to come and give a talk. I want to be an astronaut. I get to arrange a visit to a space station, that kind of thing. So often I say I help to make dreams to come true. But Izzy, your plea and so your the way you put it so articulately, a curriculum for life, was just brilliant. I loved it, because we do need to, as the adults around you, support you, your peers, you yourselves, as with employability, well-being, communication, financial literacy, those kind of things. So thank you for really just putting that message across and helping us to refine what we are here for, which is to serve you, our young people, and to be of service to you. And I will definitely say I'm dedicating my course to continuing to do that. So thank you, Izzy.
Thanks, Maddie. I mean, that's a great segue as well, really, into I suppose the first kind of talking point we really wanted to come on to. And I guess, you know, the video is a really nice starting point. So Izzy, kind of coming back to you, you know, if we've got sort of members of the community who are watching this who perhaps haven't come across, you know, your speech, maybe they're not avid TikTok viewers or haven't kind of found it on Twitter yet or on LinkedIn, just tell us a little bit more, I guess, about where I suppose the inspiration for the speech came from. You know, what it involves, so what was included in the speech, and I suppose what the response has been like since you made the speech in the Commons.
Yeah, so essentially I went down to the House of Commons in November. Members of Youth Parliament go down every year or every couple of years, and we have a House of Commons sitting where it's basically just the chamber is filled with young people who all have something to say. And as I said, my manifesto in my local area was based on education. It was based on careers advice, a curriculum for life. And also there is an election called Make Your Mark, where it's young people, again, across schools and colleges around the country. They vote on a ballot of what issue affects them the most out of everything, basically. And it was voted as health and well-being, which included predominantly mental health. So it was, for me, a real wake-up call to make sure that I was linking what I was doing in education to young people's mental health. And I think that's where the inspiration from the speech came from, because especially over the past few weeks where I've been sitting my A-levels, I've seen that the link is inseparable. The way that exams, especially in the current system that we have, is so detrimental to people's mental health and well-being. And I think it just really needed to be spoken about. So I wrote my speech. It's a bit ironic. I was doing my mock exams the week before I went down to the House of Commons. So I was in very much a rush to write it and get it done. And then when I was able to deliver the speech, if you know me, you know that I hate public speaking. And it's very ironic because I do a lot of it, but I absolutely hate it. So I was absolutely terrified when I was stood there in the chamber, but I knew that I had to do it because I knew that the message behind it was so pertinent and so poignant and represented the views of not only people in my constituency, but people nationally. So being able to do that and speak on behalf of other people is something that I'm quite proud of it, and something that I hope that I'll be able to do again in the future. And when I got home after the chaos of the event, my friends were basically saying, "Oh, you should post this on TikTok." And I was like, I'm not going to post this on TikTok. Like I've got like 2 TikToks on my page, and they're just like silly videos of me and my friends. Like this is not going to get any attention at all. But after a lot of persuasion, I did post it. And within like half an hour, it had thousands of views. And I was like, oh, okay, there's a lot of people who like this. And then an hour later, it had like hundreds of thousands. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it just kept increasing and increasing and increasing. And overwhelmingly, the feedback was young people, because obviously that's the demographic that's on TikTok. And they were all saying how they felt like this message really resonated with them. And they were so happy that finally young people were being heard in this sort of political establishment. And it kind of was this fuel to carry on doing what I was doing and really see how far this message can go, because it's gained so much momentum.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how has that developed since? Because, you know, as you said, it's sort of, with any sort of social media video, they're always snapshots, aren't they? But obviously you were, as you mentioned, trying to start a conversation. And do you feel that conversation now it's opened the door for you, I guess, to allow you to have meetings with stakeholders and hopefully take some of these things a little bit further?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Laddie, I think, is like the queen of LinkedIn. Like she was saying, she's just so active on there, and it's incredible, because I didn't even know that you could be trending on LinkedIn, to be honest. I think I just thought it was somewhere where people tried to get jobs. I didn't realize that the education sector in particular was so active on that platform, and being shared and being like having networks like all across from people across the world. I mean, I've had my video played in conferences in Australia. There's been articles written about me in languages that I can't even read. I've been Harvard referenced, which I did not expect would ever happen. And yeah, it's just been crazy how supportive everyone has been. And how many opportunities I've got as a result from it. So I'm in Sheffield at the moment, actually, because yesterday I was speaking at the Children's Media Conference, where I was chosen to be a change maker and did a speech all about what I said in the House of Commons, and as well adding on my experience of recently coming out of exam season. And just having this platform, which I think is so unique as a young person, because we aren't always facilitated to have our voices amplified in the way that I have. So it's an incredible opportunity. And again, I thank you for having me today.
And we'll dig back in a little bit more, I think, at the end of the show around, I guess, next steps, particularly around sort of where things are going. But just want to take this opportunity to bring kind of Laddie back in. Because again, as Izzy's mentioned there, that you are the queen of LinkedIn. You are extremely active on LinkedIn. And I know that you're also someone, as you said earlier, who's very kind of passionate about taking sort of messages from young people and being an ally, being an advocate. Tell us a little bit about, when you first sort of saw the video and why I guess it resonated particularly with you as a careers professional in terms of that disconnect between what young people are saying versus what's actually happening in the system.
Yeah, sure. Have I successfully taken myself off mute? Good. Sorry. Excellent. Yeah. For me, I saw the video and it just really resonated with me. And I thought, you know what, we need to hear more from them. And it was the curriculum for life, definitely, but also the passionate about, I can recite the quadratic equation. And it was this disconnect for me with, hold on a second, since 2015, we've always been harping on about grades, assessments. Hold on a second. This is exactly the young people we're trying to get through to. They're saying to them, this is what they need from us. Let's make sure we give it to them. What they need is a curriculum for life, which means we really need to be making sure that things like careers and employability is embedded within curriculum, but more importantly, is enabling them to have the skills that Izzy so articulately put it, financial literacy skills, communication skills, these skills, employability skills that will make them to lead good and successful, healthy lives. So why would we not be, doing that? So for me, I can't lie, I was very much on LinkedIn, but hoping to find Izzy on LinkedIn. I couldn't find her. Followed her on TikTok, but was really, and I cannot thank your mother and father enough, Izzy. Your mother made connections with me on LinkedIn and I was over the moon. I wish she was here for me to thank her personally, but please do extend my thank to her. I know she's a lecturer in a university, but she helped me to connect with you. And then once I heard from you yourself, sort of like what was going on with you in your life, I was like, I just had to make sure that the careers community heard from you directly. And I go back to Chris, CDI, Sabiha, thank you, because once I did reach out to you saying, could we, sort of like give Izzy a voice, you all said yes. So to me, it's that kind of thing that I just think we're here for, to hear directly from Izzy, to say, what is it that we need? I can't put it as articulately as Izzy can. So I'll hold that hand back over to Izzy, if that's okay.
Absolutely, Laddie. And I know we'll come to the comments in the section. I think Sabiha's probably got some comments maybe bringing in from sort of viewers who've watched. But before we kind of get to that, Izzy, I'm just, really interested, again, kind of even before we get to the next steps, just in terms of, I suppose, the response that you've had. You mentioned, obviously, that, lots and lots of responses from kind of young people that have been, as you say, broadly, it resonates with them. It's a message that, that clearly kind of connects. But I know that you also kind of had some responses that I suppose were slightly more negative on social media, the nature perhaps of social media. Where do you think there's sometimes maybe that kind of disconnect? Because I know that some of it's been around people feeling that maybe the focus has been on people like educators, whereas from your perspective, as I understand it, you're talking about the system. That's your focus, and that's the thing that you really feel, perhaps needs to change or you want to change.
Yeah, totally. I mean, my teachers are the most fantastic people. I love my teachers so much, and they have done so much to go above and beyond to make sure that I get where I want to, and that I'm equipped with what I need to perform well in my exams. But I think that even they understand that they are working in a system that is inherently broken at the minute. And I think that I mean, teachers being on strike at the moment is just another example of that. And I kind of see what I've done as like in conjunction with them and in solidarity with them, of noting that the system as it is not working, and it's not working as it should be. So it's never been against teachers, no, but I think that there have been some individuals who have seen me, because I only got 2 minutes in the House of Commons to talk, and that's not enough time to explain all the nuances surrounding so many different parts of the system. And I think people have taken offence to the fact that I was complaining myself, because I think it's a symptom of a wider issue where young people are kind of ignored and not taken seriously when it comes down to issues that not only concern them but concern policy. And I think that especially people who have been involved in the education sector, who perhaps were involved in some of the decisions that I was critiquing, whether that's the 2015 reforms or whether that's Ofsted or the emphasis being put on exams. And I think that people got a little bit defensive. Or I've even had people say that I'm just complaining because I don't perform well in exams, or I don't like exams, where I've had to kind of sit back and be like, okay, because it's been a case of, I'm a very academic person. I do well in school, and this one size fits all education system, it fits me and it serves me well. But I look around and I look at all the people that I represent. I look at all of my peers, and I know that it doesn't represent them all in the same way. And just because it serves me well doesn't mean it does everyone else. And I think being an advocate in the platform that I have, in the position that I have, I need to make sure that I'm using my voice to represent everybody, not just my experience.
Yeah, and I think it's such an important point around the nuance of the argument, because as you said, you shared a clip, which is you had 2 minutes to talk. It was a conversation starter, and I think some of the reactions, I would agree, were probably quite bad faith. In terms of, you wanted to start a conversation. It wasn't saying the whole of the argument is encapsulated in this. So, but obviously, it's open doors to allow you to continue that advocacy, which, as you said, is such a brilliant thing. Sabiha, I'm mindful we probably have some comments, so I'm going to come over to you, because as always, we're rapidly running out of time.
I know, God, there's still so many topics and so many questions that we have that we want to dive into. Now, whether or not we're going to get the chance to get into them today, probably not. However, this is what we always say to everybody: the conversation doesn't end at the end of this show. This is a conversation starter, and you can see everybody's nodding their head. What we want to do is we want to sort of kind of spark a fire. And to say, okay, all right, I don't agree with this, or I agree with this, or actually, I'm not sure what I think about this. And it's our jobs as individual professionals to sort of kind of go out there and feed that, and like look for information, connect with people as well. And speaking of connecting with people, let's have a look at what our audiences have been saying today. So we've definitely got some great supporters. Simon, I hope okay, we're going to Gina first. Okay, so Izzy, I so admire, so we've definitely got a fan in the house here, Izzy, for you. I so admire your contribution to the House of Commons that went viral. Was also incredibly well said. I reminded some of the young people I work with about Youth Parliament after seeing it. Powerful stuff. And I know Gina has even then praised Laddie. The impact that you have in your role is so important, and I second your appreciation. We've got another LinkedIn user saying, I wanted to explore TikTok for that reason. So Izzy, again, someone's resonating with that hesitancy of kind of putting yourself out there, on a platform that perhaps maybe you're not so familiar with, or maybe you are familiar with as a consumer content, like you're consuming the content, but you're never producing content yourself. And this LinkedIn user is saying how they did a dodgy upload of my data one day, so I deleted it in a hurry. It's hard to balance data security with being at the cutting edge. What I would say to that comment is that obviously, of course, you've got to protect your clients and data protection and confidentiality, but there's lots of ways around how you can promote and share content. We've got another Facebook user here saying, it's just fantastic to hear all that you are doing, Izzy and Laddie. Brilliant to learn a bit about your reach and impact, and here's to amplifying youth voices. And what a beautiful example of advocacy, Laddie. So we've got some great comments, and this is such an important message for today's topic. As a community, it's important that career professionals challenge the system. Do you feel the same way? Or perhaps maybe you are of a difference of an opinion? If so, we want to hear from you. Join in the conversation. And I know there's more comments coming through, and we will try and get to them. But I know, Chris, we've got a few more questions before we say goodbye to these ladies, and we're literally like 5 minutes to the end of the show. So, Chris, if we've got one sort of question that we want to put to both Izzy and Laddie, what is that?
Yeah, I think that's it, isn't it? There's just so much that we could kind of pack into this conversation. So I suppose really the key thing for us to finish on is sort of next steps from both of your perspectives, Izzy and Laddie. And we'll come to you first, Izzy, if that's okay. Obviously, as you mentioned, the initial speech has allowed you to kind of open some doors, have some more conversations. But if we've got kind of careers professionals listening to this who think, you know what, actually they're interested in finding out about what you're doing at the moment, the advocacy work that you're doing, find out a little bit more about the message that you were getting across in the speech, and maybe being a supporter and helping to try and take that further, what's the best way for them to support with the work that you're doing, and what's next for you, I guess?
Yeah, well, I think the word that I'd center this answer around is collaboration. I know that the title of this episode is Nothing About Us Without Us, and I think that's really pertinent when it comes down to careers advice and anything regarding education. I think that whether I can be an advocate for local cabinets, because local cabinets are the ones that put individuals forward for youth parliament. So whether careers professionals can be involved in that side and work with young people and ask them, what is it in this local area that I can do for you? What do you need? And working with schools as well, because I think something that's really important is making sure that we're engaging young people in careers education from a younger age. I mean, I've got a younger brother who's 14, and he's just chosen his GCSEs. And it's crazy to think that the GCSEs you choose when you're 14 impact at 16 what A-levels you can do, which impact at 18 what degree you can do, which impacts for like the job that you can do for the rest of your life. So making sure that everyone is equipped to make sure that the decisions that they make are well thought through and informed, and that they have all the knowledge and even work experience to be able to identify what is it that they're passionate about, what can you visualize yourself doing in the future. Because asking young people to make decisions about something so abstract when they have so little experience of the real world of work, it is so difficult. So I think being able to engage with young people and put them at the center of careers advice is the best way to move forward.
No, I think those are really great points. And again, we've had sort of people in the comments feeding back on that as you've kind of been talking. So great comment here around, I wonder what would happen if the system was kind of flipped so that, careers work was at the center, everything else wraps around it. Interesting comment. I mean, I think that's one that we could take a whole episode on, because there's lots of sort of existential questions in there around what the purpose of careers work is. I mean, we don't.
I think that's a show right in itself there, Chris. I think we've just have started something there. That could be a whole show for next season.
But brilliant points, Izzy. I think particularly you say around having kind of young people at the centre of the conversations we're having. I think, that there are lots of great careers professionals doing this around the country, lots of organisations doing this around the country, like Youth Employment UK, for example. But I have to say, you're absolutely right. Sometimes we will have these conversations independently. And although the interests of young people might be our focus, are we always kind of bringing the voices in? I think that's a really important point. So I'd kind of encourage, any of our viewers who are sort of watching at the moment, take up Izzy's kind of challenge or sort of opportunity there to connect, to find out, are there ways to work with your local youth MPs? Is there stuff that you're doing locally as maybe a network of careers professionals that's maybe missing a bit of youth voice, and how could you kind of connect the dots there? So I think fantastic points. Laddie, a final word on this as someone who's heavily involved as a careers hub lead. Any kind of additional advice or sort of
Izzy's hit the nail on the head. It's about collaboration, educators, career professional, employers, anybody, parents, people who want to support young people. Please, let's get together and let's keep the conversation going. For me, and I think it was a head teacher in Buckinghamshire put it very adequately for me. Careers is an entitlement for young people, for students. So we've got to see it as that. It is an entitlement. We have to help them develop the skills that we want. Izzy also mentioned, yes, for me, it should start as early on, even as ideally, I'd love it to start in nursery school. Latest empirical evidence has said primary is the ideal place to start it. And I've got to give it to the CEC. They are working on a pilot to make that happen. There's already people having conversations. Careers hubs are everywhere in England. Please, if you are in England, if you don't know about Careers Hub, find out about it. Schools, career leaders, educators, teachers, please make sure you're part of your Careers Hub, and make sure that you're really working towards achieving the 8 Gatsby benchmarks. I guess that's the final word for me, but Izzy's put it rightly. Let's all collaborate to make sure that these young people, we set them up for success.
Thanks, Laddie. That was wonderfully condensed as well. You've had some practice of this. So, no, brilliant. Thank you both for your contributions. I mean, I think there's so much, as Sabiha rightly noted, that we can kind of continue to talk about. But it is a conversation starter. We've started the conversation. We've been sharing throughout the show, obviously, contact details for Izzy and for Laddie. Do get in touch with them if you want to find out a little bit more about their work and to take the conversation forward. That really kind of wraps up the main show for today. So we're going to need to move directly on, Sabiha, to our news section and find out a little bit about what's happening both within the CDI and also the wider kind of careers world. But a huge thank you before we go on to the news to both yourself, Izzy, and to Laddie for joining us today.
100%. And and I just want to say the chat box has just blown up today. So that definitely means that this is a message that so many viewers watching, live right now, but I would imagine also as well, those that, sort of can't make it to the live show, watch on the replay will want to know. So as we always say, the conversation doesn't end here. Please do reach out. I know there was already somebody in the chat asking for Laddie's contact information. We've been putting it up on screen. Please find her. Izzy also as well, connect with our guests. Thank you, both of you, for joining us today. What did I pick in terms of the CDI news stories for this week? So, well, we sort of started the show celebrating in the careers cheers, and I felt it was only relevant and poignant that we talk about it in the CDI news. And really what I wanted to advocate right now was share your stories. So if you attended the CDI UK Career Development Awards ceremony last Monday, perhaps maybe you were a winner, or maybe you were shortlisted, or maybe you just went to enjoy the atmosphere. Do post your stories on whatever platform that you are proactive on, so that we can see and that people who weren't able to attend can see. And there were 8 award categories at the award ceremony, and also as well a big thank you to all the sponsors who make sure that this event can happen and continue to happen, which includes the Education Development Trust and the Careers and Enterprise Company as well. So that was story number 1. Then story number 2 is preparing for the move. The CDI are excited, drum roll, for the exciting launch of the new website, which is going to be taking place in the coming weeks. It's going to be a great new design for the CDI members, for those of you that are CDI members, or maybe you're thinking about joining the CDI. Well, you'll be joining at a great time, because for less than Starbucks cappuccino, frappuccino, latte on a month, you can get a whole host of content, support and content and knowledge that helps enhance your CPD. Now, there's more information, and David Morgan, the CEO, who was my co-guest last show, has created a really great video that you can find on YouTube that explains what they've got coming up. And then finally, opportunity to join the Ethics and Professional Standards Committee for the CDI. Now, the role of the Ethics and Professional Standards Committee, also known as the EPSC, is central to overseeing the sector-wide professional standards, the UK Register of Career Development Professionals, and also the ethical practice of our membership. If you are interested, the deadline, there is more information on the website, and there was a link on screen that you can go to learn more about that. Now, the deadline to submit nominations is Monday, the 17th of July, 2023. So you've got a little bit of time if you're interested, and this piqued your interest, and it sounds like something that you would be interested. Or perhaps you're listening to me talk about the opportunity to join the Ethics and Professional Standards Committee, and you're completely dismissing it. You're going, oh no, that's not me. Perhaps that's a reason to investigate a little bit and find out what this opportunity is, and maybe pushing yourself outside your comfort zone, exactly what can help you enhance your standing as a professional, but also develop your CPD development as well. So that's my news roundup for the CDI news. Chris, what have you got for us this week?
Yes, thanks, Sabiha. Well, we'll start off with something that fits very nicely with the theme of what we've been talking today, and that is a reminder that we've just had the Education Select Committee's final report on careers education, information, advice and guidance in England. Came out last Thursday. Fairly kind of extensive report. There's a lot of recommendations, possible policy implementations in there that the committee have suggested. Lots and lots of different people online, including myself, have kind of taken a bit of time to pick it apart, share our thoughts on it. There is some kind of positive stuff in there, absolutely. There's also some stuff from a career development professional perspective that's a little bit concerning. And what I would really encourage everyone to do is check it out, have a read yourself, have a read through the suggestions, the recommendations. It could potentially be a positive way forward in a number of different aspects, but there's also quite a lot of gaps in there which careers professionals need to be aware of when we're advocating on behalf of our own profession. So do check that out. Reference in there to things that we've talked about today a little bit as well, around kind of primary education, the Gatsby benchmarks, all those sort of things. So do have a look at that when you get the chance. The second story is around what else? Artificial intelligence in education. We've been talking about it an awful lot. There's a really nice article out in Wonky around how some universities are already starting to embrace AI, and some ways that might be kind of slightly the wrong approach if we want to kind of engage people with this technology. So really worth looking into. The Russell Group this week, a group of 24 universities, just released their guidance for university students on using AI, and their guidance for kind of their institutions on how they talk about AI within education. So this is kind of moving at pace. There's a lot of kind of chatter and a lot of action taking place around this technology. So again, do kind of have a read of some of these things if you feel it's not an area you're that familiar with. And then finally, we talked a lot about kind of young people today, but there's a really nice report out at the moment around investing in careers guidance and the case for adult workers. So some European kind of wide literature based on sort of evidence that's been collected, I think, over a number of different countries. But again, sort of presenting that case for why career guidance matters and why it's so important for people who are already in work and kind of progressing through their careers, as well as people who are at the start of their careers. So those are my news stories for this week. Do check them out. And that brings us very, very nicely to the end of the show. The only thing we have left to say before we finish is just a reminder to join us in 2 weeks' time. We are back on Wednesday, the 19th of July at 12 o'clock. We're going to be welcoming a recent UK Career Development Award winner, Caroline Green. She's going to come and join us to talk about the Careers Talent Pipeline and her Careers in Careers Celebration Festival that's taking place in November. So we hope to see you then. But until then, have a wonderful couple of weeks. A massive thank you to Izzy and Laddie for joining us. A massive thank you to all of you watching, whether you're watching live or on the recording. And we look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. Take care.